Yeah, this isn't from that. When you see, when you're on the ground line, you see like that show. That's a good fight. Good fight.
Oh.
Oh no, I'll give you a break. Wait until it's on 6. Yeah. You doing good? Oh, nice. No, no, I get that. It's just like that's trouble. Man, I don't have that yet. Ready? Big night.
Yeah, I think we should.
That's what, yeah, there's a lot of people that keep it filtered.
If I could have everybody's attention rather than snap the gavel here, we're gonna delay the start by 10 minutes to allow the people who are eating back here in between the meeting because the previous meeting had gone up almost to the end. So if you could be patient, we'll start in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Good job, Mr. Sam. Those additional slides.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, June 1st, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance from Pastor Troy D. Smith, Sr. with the True Vine Baptist Church in Huntsville. Please stand.
Our Father and our God, we come here in your presence, first of all, God, to tell you thank you. Thank you for regulating our minds. And Father, thank you for your grace. And Father, thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your eternal love that you have for each and every one of us. Father, we're asking you right now, dear God, to clear all of our minds. Father, we're asking as we make decisions, Father, we're asking that you would give us wisdom to make the decisions, the wisdom that only comes from you. Father, as we endeavor to make decisions, Father, we're asking that you would even give us courage to stand up for right. Father, we thank you. We thank you for our community, and we thank you for St. Charles Parish, and we thank you for our state. We thank you for our universe. And dear God, we're asking that you would bless us all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Smith. Before we begin this meeting, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the passing of Mr. Richard Dickey Dewey, former council member for St. Charles Parish. Mr. Dewey served the people of St. Charles Parish for 24 years, and his dedication to the community left a lasting impact. He will be deeply missed and fondly remembered by all who had the privilege of knowing him and working alongside him. On behalf of the Parish Council, we extend our deepest condolences to his family, friends, and loved ones during this difficult time. Moving on, approval of minutes. A motion and a second are needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of May 18th, 2026. We have moved by Mr. Cormadell, seconded by Ms. Skiba. Would you please cast your votes? And that passes unanimously. Special business, proclamations, canvass returns, etc. 2026-0180 in recognition, Hahnville High School Lady Tigers Division I non-select state champions. Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Parish of St. Charles, June 1st, 2026. Whereas the Hahnville High School Lady Tigers softball team have excelled in the Division I non-select softball season, finishing the regular season with a 24-12 overall record. And whereas the Lady Tigers faced a tough road on their way to Division I non-select championship in Sulphur, Louisiana. And whereas the Lady Tigers defeated the number 16 Central High 4-3 in the quarterfinals, then knocked off the number 5 seed St. Amant 6-4 in the semifinals. And whereas on May 3rd, 2026, the Lady Tigers defeated Live Oak 6-5, capturing their second ever State Division I non-select softball title, while also becoming the second girls team in the history of Hahnville High School to win a state championship in any sport. And whereas the Lady Tigers were the only team in any division who had to win 5 games in the playoffs to win a state title. And whereas members of the Parish Council and the Parish President wish to recognize the outstanding performance of the Hahnville High School Lady Tigers softball team and their coaching staff. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby recognize Hahnville High School Lady Tigers Division I non-select state champions Addison Walton, Emma Jackson, Emerson Tregg, Jordan Chase, Patience Alexander, Riley Villasenor, Sophie Baudouin, Adriana Walton, Shelby Terrio, Sophia Patton, Claire Gasson, Belle Richard, Jordan Little, Allie Calhoun, Jennifer Moore, London Lambert, Hannah Venetta, and Peyton Peaty, and the Lady Tigers coaching staff, head coach Jeremy Duplantis, assistant coaches Lindsay Reynolds and Lainey Wagasback, trainers Sammy Taylor, and managers Brianna Deshawn and Jasmine Savoy. And we do have the coaches and the Lady Tigers here to receive this. I just want to say, I know what it takes for y'all to do what you did, because I was on the Hunville softball team, and in 1987 we made it through the quarterfinals to the semifinals and lost. And back then, Miss Laurel Gonzalez was our coach. So what y'all did is pretty amazing. So I hope y'all know that. All right.
This is the biggest crowd I've seen.
You know, I could stand there.
All right. Good evening. I ain't really prepared nothing, so I'm gonna go off the top of my head. But thank y'all for having us today. It's definitely appreciated. These girls worked really hard this year to achieve this. I always say it that our division is the hardest division in the state to win it, and what we did was phenomenal. So thank y'all for having us. Appreciate the girls and appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Mr. Bouye, you've requested to speak.
Yes, before y'all leave, I just wanted to say congratulations to Coach Duplantis and your team and staff for the special season. I did do some quick research and found out that this team is only one of 3 girls teams in our parish to have won a state championship. The 2011 Softball Lady Tigers and the 2017 Destrehan basketball team. As some of you may know, our family has had a relationship with Hahnville softball for many years. Our daughter Elise was a senior on the 2011 championship team, and our younger daughter Gabi spent 4 years as a manager on the team. That 2011 group was special. Many of those girls went on to play in college, later become doctors, nurses, CPAs, etc. But if you ask any of them, they would tell you that one of the highlights of their lives was winning in Sulphur and representing their community in Hahnville High School. I had the pleasure of being at some of your games this year, including the big win that sent you to Sulphur. Watching you celebrate that hard-fought victory brought back so many great memories. Lastly, I want to congratulate and thank the parents. Without your support and sacrifice, none of this happens. Championships don't come around often and just don't happen. They come from years of hot summers at random ballparks across the state and beyond. I know I watched the little pitcher pitching on the way to church almost every Sunday, so she worked very hard. thousands of dollars spent on hotels and travel. You will look back at this past season like I look back at 2011 and realize that every dollar and bead of sweat was worth it. To the seniors, congrats, and what a way to finish. To the members of next year's team, no reason y'all can't be back next season getting recognized again. Go Tigers!
Thank you, Mr. Brouillet, and again, thank you for this fine team you have and the participation of your parents. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, 2026-0176. Allow them to clear out a little bit. Okay, 2026-0176, proclamation, Juneteenth, National Independence Day in St. Charles Parish. Mr. Mobley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Proclamation. Whereas Juneteenth, National Independence Day, also known as Juneteenth, is a historic day that marks the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the United States, and whereas President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, as the nation approached the third year of the Civil War. And whereas Juneteenth is celebrated on June 19th, the day in 1865, when Union General Gordon Granger, along with the Buffalo Soldiers, arrived in Galveston, Texas, and issued General Order No. 3, which declared that all enslaved people were now free. This order emphasized the importance of freedom and rights of all individuals, making it a significant historical document in American history. And whereas Juneteenth is a day to honor and celebrate the strength of love, the resilience of faith, and enduring spirit of African Americans' liberation, recognizing their significant contributions to the cultural, social, and economic fabric of our community and our nation. And whereas the observance of Juneteenth provides an opportunity for reflection of family values, education of self-worth, and a renewed commitment to achieving cooperation that creates a legacy of equity, justice, and equality for all people. And whereas St. Charles Parish is dedicated to fostering an inclusive community that values family, diversity, and the principles of freedom and equality for which Juneteenth stands. Now therefore be it resolved, we the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth National Independence Day in St. Charles Parish, and encourage all residents to join in the commemoration of this important historical event by participating in educational activities, cultural events, and other community celebrations that honor the legacy and contributions of African Americans. And I believe we have Mr. Ryan Price to accept.
You too pretty to stand next to the mic.
Mike and I were dressed for the 4-wheel that blew Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council, parish president. I stand before you here today in place of Louis Logan, who is the president of the St. Charles Parish branch of the NAACP. We are truly honored and gracious to accept this proclamation. We thank you guys for honoring the history of African Americans in St. Charles Parish. I wasn't born in this parish, but as I worked in this parish, I met a lot of guys that told me a lot of the history of St. Charles Parish. So once again, I thank you guys and participate in some type of Juneteenth event. You will love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price. All right. A motion and a second is needed to deviate from the regular order of the agenda to take up file number 2026-0171. Although the matter is scheduled to be heard later in the meeting tonight, it is requested that the council consider the item at this time. 2026-0171, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Departments, by adding Section 2-24 to create the Department of Engineering and provide for its responsibilities and functions. A motion and a second are needed to deviate. Motion is made by Ms. Skiba and seconded by Mr. Fisher. Please cast your vote. Oh, God. Out of order here. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak on the deviation, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, please cast your votes for deviation. Okay, that passes unanimously. (2026-0171), an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Departments, by adding Section 2-24 to create the Department of Engineering and provide for its responsibilities and functions. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. This ordinance creates the Department of Engineering within St. Charles Parish government. The purpose of this ordinance is organizational in nature. It moves the engineering function out from under the Department of Public Works and establishes engineering as a centralized internal service provider, similar to how the departments of GIS, IT, and legal support the entire parish organization. As our parish continues to invest in drainage, infrastructure, parks, buildings, and other public improvements, it's important that we have consistency in project design, contract preparation, bidding, construction management, and technical review. Creating a dedicated Department of Engineering gives us a central point of accountability and professional oversight for those functions. The department will provide, oversee, and manage engineering services for all the parish departments. Its responsibilities will include in-house and consultant design management, construction project coordination, review of certain planning and zoning permit submittals, preparation of bid documents, oversight of the public bidding process, and the development of a capital projects program and plan. We believe that this structure will help improve project quality, reduce unnecessary engineering and design costs where possible, and avoid help preventable change orders for future projects. It will also serve to preserve institutional knowledge within the parish and provide more consistent engineering standards across our departments. This ordinance requires that the director of the Department of Engineering be a duly licensed professional engineer. Our intent is to move our Public Works Director, Miles Bingham, to serve as the Director of Engineering and lead the build-out of the new department. We also are seeking to move Brandon Bernard to move from Assistant Director of Public Works to Public Works Director, and we do not intend to backfill the Assistant Director position. That's an important point because the change does not add any new layers of management And in fact, by not filling the assistant director position, the creation of the department results in a cost decrease overall when you look at salaries. It also brings the public works director closer to the field crews and the day-to-day operations of that department while pulling out the capital projects management to the Department of Engineering. I'd also like to mention that there will be no change in buildings as a part of this ordinance. Engineering staff will remain where they are currently located. Again, this ordinance is organizational in structure. We welcome any questions and appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Hornville, and I'm glad y'all corrected the proverbial horse cart before the horse. And Matt, what you did there in most of your explanation is what I've been asking the council to do for a long time. Explain these things to the public in more detail before you open it for public input. You answered some questions that I had. So part of what I wanted to talk about, I don't need to talk about anymore. But if you read the duties of this new department, it's pretty much what we've been doing already. I don't see anything really new. What concerns me is we're creating a department that historically this parish has had trouble maintaining people to work for. Historically, this parish has always had trouble obtaining and retaining engineers. Maybe that's changed in the last 6.5 years. I hadn't been coming to a lot of meetings. So maybe things got better. Maybe we have a whole staff of engineers, and maybe this makes good sense to put them all under one umbrella. But if we still don't have the people we need to engineer the project, you can make all the departments you want. You won't accomplish anything. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alamo. If there's anyone else who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, Victor Bucola, 105 Burgers Lane, Destrehan. I'm not an engineer, and I don't want to be an engineer, but I kind of see and read what this council and what this parish does from time to time with hiring outside engineers. I'm curious if creating a department like this, does this eliminate a lot of the work that you're hiring outside engineers for? Or is this just adding another layer of government?
Chairman, am I allowed to speak?
Please do.
No, so when it comes to designing inside in-house engineering projects, we do a lot of design. Anytime we size culverts for our ditches, we do some design work on sewer and sidewalks and other things like that in nature. We actually even designed turn lane on Willdale Boulevard. The problem is we don't actually, our engineers internally don't carry the professional liability that would be required to build, say, something like a bridge or a pump station. So we do outsource those to firms that specialize in those areas. Where this becomes an internal requirement that I think we need is that outside engineers design projects, and their fee is also based on estimated project cost. And so being able to look at the proposals, the scope, and making sure that we're getting the things that we need and not getting the things that we don't need is also incredibly important in saving money for engineering and design purposes on that. Otherwise, it really is organizational in nature. We're not adding any new layer of government bureaucracy. Projects are still going to come in the same way. What we're trying to do, and we've worked on this a little bit throughout the years, but creating the department helps solve this issue, is driving all departments to the engineering department when they are doing their projects. So the internal engineering department will continue to work with our outside engineering firms to double check their work, to make sure that everything is in line, and that we create a true parish engineering standard that some of the other parishes that have been doing this a little bit longer already have.
Okay, thank you. The ordinance as it's been constructed seems to be pretty specific. You have those 7 items under B, functions and responsibilities. I would just suggest that on number 7, The 7 kind of like leaves it open field, wide open. It reads, perform other such duties as may be directed by the parish president. I'm going to suggest you put a comma after president and add, and shall be approved by a supporting resolution of the council. That gives everybody a hand in whatever it is this department is going to potentially do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bicola. Mr. Fisher. Oh, sorry. If there's no one else to speak in favor or against this, we have public hearing closed. It looks like there is no one else, so public hearing is closed. Mr. Fisher?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm excited. For 7.5 years sitting on this council, going through some rough engineering times and not quite understanding everything, to see that we're moving to this. Matt, the checks and balances are awesome. You know, as many times as Miles' career, and I've gone to sit down with Public Works and just didn't quite understand what the engineers were giving them. Or somehow or another, they just didn't understand what we wanted. So by creating this department and taking the synergy over every engineering project, recreation, wastewater, waterworks, public works, it's going to give us the opportunity to do that and only improve to get better. There are so many projects now that we have that we can do as a parish, what we're doing right now, that we need to have an engineer, and we do have that. But now having Miles be able to focus that whole time on his engineering and have Brandon focus on the guys working, man, it's fantastic. I'm so glad to see this, and I support it 100%.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My perspective comes from working with the administration and also as a council member. When we were with the administration, you know, Public Works and Wastewater often used the Public Works engineers for the projects. You had Mr. Sam functioned a lot like Miles does here today, working mainly on the capital projects, and Bob Duplan, much like Brandon Bernard does with the day-to-day functions, operations of Public Works. But with wastewater and Public Works, most of those projects, there's so many, the engineers were oftentimes, it was a gray area what work they could do for the other departments. And this eliminates that. There will be no question. And it creates consistency, because over the years we've had a lot of inconsistency between contracts that were issued by the various departments, and that won't happen anymore. The contracts will be reviewed by one department, uniform contract. So I could probably go on and on of things that I can think about of why I'm in full support of this, but it's I think a very good thing to do for our parish. It'll improve efficiency and effectiveness on the hands of the engineering department. So I'm excited for it too, and fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the synergies and the potential of having an engineering department. I am a little concerned, and we do have assurances from the administration that changes within the code, where the director of Public Works is in charge of making some incredibly important decisions for our residents, will be, I presume, transferred to the engineering department. Not to downplay anything that the Public Works or the Public Works Director will do. However, some of those are engineering specific, and it's my understanding that that would be transferred to the engineering department, including, I believe, the drainage impact analysis and maybe some of the design of our larger culvert systems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. And one of the things I just wanted to mention on tacking on to Councilwoman O'Daniels is that, yeah, the changes in those sections of code is already in the works. The legal department is working on drafting those ordinances, which we will bring to the parish council. For the next few weeks, there will be some overlap while we get that introduced between Public Works and Department of Engineering, should this be approved tonight. But it will be business as usual come tomorrow. The engineering department will still be reviewing drainage impact analysis and traffic impact analysis They will still be sizing culverts. They will still be doing work on various projects that we do design in-house. One of the things that I wanted to mention in response to Mr. Almo was that we have done a lot better in being able to recruit and retain our engineering engineers in the parish. And it was an issue for some time. A lot of that work was resolved through our job study and being able to appropriately pay at the starting level these younger engineers. We have a great team of engineers right now. I do have an organizational chart that I did pass out to everybody. So you have the director, an engineering admin specialist, our senior engineer, Andre Ford, our engineer 2, Zach Polak. We have an engineer 1, which is a vacant position, and then an engineer intern, which is currently Stacy Rogers. So that's the office. Anything else would have to come before the council during the budget time to be able to add anyone else if that would be needed, and we would obviously have to explain the purposes for that. And just on the topic of the budget, we do intend to put this in our 2027 budget as its own separate department. So for purposes of the rollover, since we're so far along on that, we would not do that. That will stay in Public Works for 2026, but in the 2027 budget, it would be called out on its own.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. I guess I get a chance to say something now. I have brought some concerns that I've had to the administration, and so far nothing has happened. I will tell you, I'm the only one on this entire dais here who's an engineer. 42 years at it, been retired for 11. So I have a little bit of understanding as to how it works. I have an understanding of how departments of engineering work because I've done them. I've led them. I've led projects. I've led big projects, project management. And what I look here and see, I have no base concern about the departmental establishment. What I do have a concern about, and I've made this known to the administration, is the qualifications of the person who would be the director of the engineering department. And I go back to the position that is stated in St. Charles Parish descriptions of jobs for senior parish engineer. It's a Bachelor of Science degree in Civil and Mechanical Engineering from an ABT accredited university. Current registration as a PE. The State Louisiana Board of Professional Engineers and Land Surveyors, or if licensed as a PE in another state, must be able to attain a registration within 6 months. A minimum of 8. This is your senior parish engineer who works underneath the director. A minimum of 8 years of experience as a licensed professional engineer, that's a PE, in the design and construction of municipal projects that involve hydraulic, conveyance, roadways, pump stations, levees, and or sewage and water treatment plants. Experience in GIS and current AutoCAD system is preferred. And what that equates to is somebody who works for the director who has 12 years of experience working in engineering. And we have no language that provides for minimum qualifications that at least requires the director to have at least that amount and preferably more experience. And I brought this up to the administration. I've heard nothing back. But given where we are right now, I prefer to see this language added to the amended version of this ordinance, which is to add the language that provides for the director to have at least the qualifications of the senior parish engineer. I mean, it makes sense. And I think that I'm probably beating a dead horse with this, but I really believe that in talking with people in the public, they feel the same way as well, right? No problem with the department. No problem with having this oversight that they say is going to be necessary. I personally believe you're going to end up with more need for resources, given the fact that you're splitting this in the Public Works Director, who is a very ample and qualified individual. he will have to rely on Mr. Bingham for quite a while, probably to get many things done. Okay, so I don't see any improvement there. I know this: if you now have to handle recreation and the work that they do, waterworks, buildings, this is going to take more effort on the part of this staff, in my opinion. Okay, so, and I'm not saying this idly because I've been through a lot of this stuff in projects in my past. So I'm bringing that to the attention. My first inclination was to table this so that we could go back and spend the amount of time necessary to make this piece of work good for the public. Why? Because Mr. Jewell's not going to be around in 19 months. Who knows who on this council may be? Many of these people, like Mr. Bingham, you know, Mr. Palamone, who knows? Who knows who's going to be here? Because it's at the pleasure of the parish president to appoint people. So here we are. What I'm saying is try to protect the people by putting in some minimum qualifications. Period. That's all I'm trying to say. If we don't do that, then I wonder what this council is sitting here to do from a legislative standpoint. Mr. Jewell?
Mr. Chairman, I'll withdraw here on the board, but I do want to respond. First, I do want to say I think it's disingenuous that you made the comment that you brought this to the attention of the administration, but you've heard nothing back, or that we didn't respond. We shut it down in the meeting that we were in. I mean, we talked face to face. There are multiple people in this room who were in that meeting. We don't agree with the requirement to put 5 years, 10 years, or whatever on this director. And you know, there have been engineers who've worked for this parish that I have released, that have retired, that have 30 years of experience, and I would never let them. I would never even consider them to run this department. But they, you know, I can tell you that our senior engineer, who has about 10 years of experience, I'd absolutely let her run the department because I think that she has qualifications. Miles is a good case scenario of someone who meets what you think the qualification should be that can run the office, and we agree, which is why we nominated him here tonight. But the parish president has the ability, as an elected representative of the entire parish, to nominate whomever he pleases or she pleases to these roles. By putting in the requirement that they be a PE, this director has the strictest requirement of any director in the parish. We don't require the recreation director to have played in the MLB for 5 or 10 years. We don't require the government buildings director to have maintained, you know, buildings over a certain square footage for a certain number of years. We don't require, you know, frankly, the wastewater director to have built a wastewater plant. So we do have a stricter requirement on here, and I think it's important, and we agree that the director needs to be a PE. The beautiful part about the checks and balances of this, which is in the parish charter, is that this parish council gets to approve any nomination for any parish council created department. So just like we are doing here tonight with the nominations, you can vote up or down on whether you believe Miles Bingham is qualified to run this department. Just like under the next parish president and the next parish council, this council can do it. In fact, it is their obligation and responsibility to take that seriously, review that resume, and make that judgment call to the parish president. That's the beautiful checks and balances of this scenario. But what I will tell you is that just as it is important for the director of engineering to understand engineering concepts, it is also important that they have managerial skills as well, because if you put the wrong engineer with 70 years of experience in there, they won't be able to get anything done.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Carmodell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was going to say something that similar to what President Jewell just finished. You know, I work for a company that's 3,000 employees, run by a CEO who's a bridge engineer and never built a marine project in his career, but he runs a 3,000 employee marine company. So I think the management skills are probably just as important, or if not more important, than the engineering experiences in that. Now, some questions that I had heard from a few folks in the industry with this department coming, will this department be responsible for review of all the RFQs and RFPs for all engineering throughout the parish departments?
Yes, that already happens currently.
Okay. One other question I was asked, we do public bid openings, but there's not a whole lot of transparency or public engineering reviews when we select RFPs and RFQs. Is that standard throughout all municipalities, that the engineering selection for projects is done behind closed doors?
So we don't do, there are no bidding of professional services. In the parish charter states that the parish president selects professional services on behalf of the parish. We have an RFQ. We've done 2 RFQs. Once when I first came in, I think the second RFQ, Mike, if I'm not, or Miles, if I'm not mistaken, was in the second term.
We actually did an original one, then had an amendment to the first one where we allowed additional firms to qualify. And then we had a second one, and then we did an amendment to that one as well. And I would just state that we have a qualification process. So the people are qualified to do the jobs in different categories. If you have a grant program that requires a selection process, we do a special RFP for that, which is a request for proposals.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a different animal, and we do, that is treated separately and different. We did that on several different projects where we had money or a certain type of program that we needed to follow a different progress. But most of the time, you qualify people, and then you select from the qualified list.
Yeah, it's just a question that came up, I believe, because we use a lot of the same engineers over and over, and I've been questioned like, hey, there's 35 engineers in Jefferson Parish, and you guys use 4. So I was just wondering about that, kind of how that process goes.
I would say if you look at that list, we've used a lot of engineers on that list. I mean, I know it's a little exaggeration, but certainly more than 4.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out that number, but I was just asked about that last a week or 2 ago about how we were selecting engineers, because they keep seeing repetitive engineers on project after project after project. So.
One of the things I'll mention too is that any contract for engineering services that we bring, the council approves those.
I was just asking if anything's going to change with this new department coming in.
No, not on that.
Thank you, Mr. Carmodell. Ms. Wilson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is, actually, Parish President Jewell had answered the about the separate line item for the budget purpose. So if this is approved tonight with the organizational chart, the opening that we have, the engineer and admin specialist in the engineer 1, will this be considered for 2027 hire or 2026 as far as budget is concerned?
Whether or not the department gets created tonight, the engineering admin specialist was created by the Civil Service Board. We brought that request to them, and would get would be filled either way. We currently have 1 vacancy for the engineer 1, and I don't think our intention is to advertise for that position. But Miles, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, we already have interviewed for the position for the admin person. Right now, we're going to see how things go before we see if we need another engineer, or whether we need to maybe make that a different type of position to fulfill a requirement for our new department. So I'm just told, right now, I think we got to, once we create something, it's going to take a little time for us to sort through all the pieces and parts and get ourselves situated. And then we'll decide, then we'll come back and discuss with the parish president and Mr. Palamone and the CAO whether there's something we need. And, there's going to be a little bit of sorting out first. So first part is to get ourselves started. But a lot of what we're doing right now, we're going to continue to do. So.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I guess I do get the chance to speak again. I would reiterate that it's not disingenuous that I brought something in, to the attention. It kind of got put aside, and you didn't agree. I understand, but the excuse that we can use that if we come up with another parish president, and it's his pleasure to appoint somebody as well as the council, and it's their obligation to approve. There's no guarantee that we get somebody who has the qualifications that I think that I'm trying to promote. And I'm telling you guys, you know, we're very fortunate to have Mr. Bingham here who has all these years of experience, and I laud you for appointing him. Frankly, you know, we're improved by leaps and bounds from what we had before, and that's where my concerns go. Because the last administration, they did some things that I swear to God people ought to go to jail for. I mean, I'm not kidding you. That's a harsh statement, but I'm telling you, there were some things done that should not have been done, and it has nothing to do with impropriety. It's just competence. So that's where I'm coming from. So I think you can tell where I'm going to vote, and I think I can tell where everybody else is going to vote. So that said, cast your votes. And it passes with only Mr. Pillier voting against. All right. All right. Gotcha. Robert's rules here. Need a motion and a second to return to the regular order of the agenda. Motion by Bob Fisher, seconded by Ms. Fonseca. Please cast your votes. And that passes unanimously. Moving on. Item 2026-0186, confirmation hearing for appointment of Director, Department of Public Works, Mr. Brandon Bernard. File number 2026-0186 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak on behalf of this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Hornville. You know, the men and women that work in our public works department and do tasks that sometimes you wonder how they do it, because they struggle to really complete their tasks. Because I don't think we're not where we need to be with drainage. It's been my contention for years, and it still is. Wish someone would come visit my neighborhood so I can show you what I'm talking about. I've sent emails to everybody.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, this isn't relevant to the actual confirmation
yes,
of
it
Mr.
is.
Bernard.
Yes, it is. We're talking
about the Public Works Director and the
Yes,
appointment. So if it's open to public hearing, let's hear what the man has to say.
Thank you. Excuse yourself. Now, it's very important that we do select the proper person to direct our Public Works Department. The men, like I started to say, and I'll say again, the men and women in this parish work very hard at their job. Everyone in Public Works. So they need to have the best director possible. For 6.5 years, we thought he was the best director possible. Now we find out that his talents are more important elsewhere. So we got someone else who's even better, because we certainly wouldn't get anybody worse, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alamo. If there's anybody else who'd like to come up and speak on behalf of this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. O'Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To address Mr. Allemon, I've had the opportunity to work with Mr. Bernard on several projects, including projects where he got very creative with situation back in Diane Place, and we have benefited greatly by Mr. Bernard's talents and creativity on the ground, as well as the people that work for him. We really do respect him, and he's very organized and efficient in his work. So I support Mr. Bernard in this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. Mr. Jewell?
I want to echo what Ms. O'Daniels said. Brandon has been absolutely terrific when it's come to helping get our crews organized. And look, the way Public Works with the engineering department has worked, or the engineering group within Public Works has worked currently and in the past is that Miles tended to focus more heavily on the engineering and capital project side, and Brandon has worked heavily on the field crew side. And by taking out the engineering and capital projects, Miles will still continue to work on that, and Brandon will still continue to work on that. And so I think each person is going to be working on their strong suits, and I think it's going to complement each other very, very well. One of the things I want to mention, Brandon, just in talking to you, and then I kind of thought about it. What the resident who just spoke mentioned. I actually stood in his backyard. I think either while I was running or the day after I got elected or one of those things. And one of the things he mentioned was this crushed subsurface culvert that was in his yard that he'd been requesting to get changed for the past 30, 40 years. And that he could not get that done. And no other public works director had been able to get it done or in public works group. And I worked with Miles and I worked with you directly, Brandon, and we took that and got that project done and brought it all the way down. And I know that's been an improvement in that area. I know there's work to be done. Drainage is one of those things that'll never be finished. You always have to keep working on it. And I can't wait for you to be able to continue to do the work that you do. You do a fantastic job. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to echo it. Mr. Daniels, President Jewell. Brandon, I'm going to tell you, you like me, you're an operator. You started like that, Public Works. You know how to get things done. Your crews love you. The residents love you. They love when you go walk out there. Mr. Bingham, you too. I mean, that's fine. You got a 1-2 team? We got a 1-2 team right here. We got engineer, and now we got a guy that knows how to get it done. And Mr. Alamo, we're going to get things fixed. We are. We're getting better. We're getting better. 6.5 years, we're better. We're better off now than we was when we all took in place. And it's because of gentlemen like Mr. Bingham and Mr. Brandon who do it. And the guys that work for them. The Irvins, the Dominics, the Rob, all those guys. The guys on the shovels, the guys that are on the excavators. They doing the stuff. Getting the support. We got the management. We got the place. Look, Mr. Pierre, you said, President Jewell's got 1.5 years, and most of us got 1.5 years on council. But you know what? We got a plan. Here's the plan. For the next parish president comes, the next council comes, we got it. We did that. We spent 7.5 years of our lives developing that, putting these people in place. We got to support them. We got to keep doing it. That's what we're elected for. We're elected to represent the people and make sure that we do things right. So I support it 100%, Brandon. Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also echo the sentiments of my fellow council members. Every time that I have needed something on the operations side, Brandon has been there. He's taken care of a lot of the work orders that I've put in. I don't have any concerns whatsoever in him being appointed or confirmed in this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I want to rewind to the meeting that we had right before this meeting. And we talked about, and I think my colleague, Ms. Wilson, will feel the same way. We talked about millions and millions and millions of dollars going into drainage. And what we're looking to you now, Mr. Bernard, is for us gravity drainage people and people that have in-house projects that need to be done. We're looking for that synergy. We're looking for that energy. We're looking for that progress in our areas too. Because even though it's not a multi-million-dollar project all the time, it is important to all the residents to have proper drainage, and we really appreciate your work on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. Ms. Wilson.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Bernard, I want to thank you for everything that you've done so far. And to Mr. Milton, the email that you sent in reference to wanting to know the drainage work because of Mr. Bernard, here is the information that I have to go through. That I'll be sending you an email on, but just let you know because of his work. And even I had some questions tonight as I was going through it, and he was able to give me the answers that I needed. It wasn't that he needed to say I need to get back to the office to speak with someone. So of course he didn't know I was going to ask him any questions, so he was on top of what was in this packet, and I will be getting this the information to you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Brandon, I really like you. I think you do a great job We've had a good time in the field at times, and I have to say that you've always been open to suggestion, which is a very, very good trait, and I thank you for that. So I hope that you feel comfortable with the job that you're undertaking, and I'm certain that you'll put your 150% into it. So I support you as well.
Okay. Thank y'all very much, Council and Parish President Jewell. I appreciate the opportunity, and I greatly appreciate the vote of confidence from everybody right now. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much. There's no other speakers from the council. Cast your vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay, move on to the next one. 2026-0187, confirmation hearing for appointment of director, Department of Engineering, Mr. Miles Bingham. File number 2026-0187 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak on behalf of this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
I'm going to speak on my own behalf because I've got
This is fresh.
Everything else. So, first of all, I'm a professional engineer. I have been for 40 some odd years. So I think, when you were talking about qualifications, I have done that. I've done a lot of different projects, and I was just going to, so that the people feel comfortable with me, I've run the Earhart Boulevard improvements from the Jefferson Parish line into the city, which is a major project for the city of New Orleans. I ran Jefferson Parish's road program for the first 9 years that they had it, and then another 2.5 before I came here. I've worked at the Corps of Engineers as a loaner, as a private, from a private engineering company. So I've worked with a lot of the different agencies that we work with, and I just feel like, you're putting me in a position here where I can help grow the engineering staff that we have. I have 3 very good young engineers, and they are growing every day that we keep working on these things. And they are going to be here for a long time. So my goal is, while I'm here, is to get them to improve and continue to grow so that this parish will benefit from their experience heading into the future. And they are very motivated and very good. And President Jewell mentioned all of their names. They are wonderful people. You all are very lucky to have them. They all live in the parish and want to be here. So they're not going anywhere unless somehow someone chases them away. So I am happy to answer any questions that you all have of me, but I just wanted to give you an idea that this engineering department is going to work really hard to make everyone here proud and get projects done. And I think we've shown that we can do that. It's just now we're going to do it as a separate group. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. If there's anyone else who'd like to come up and speak on behalf of this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Hornville. And I'll reiterate what I said earlier. What Mr. Miles said there answered all my questions. Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Alamo. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to say, Miles, I think you're going to be good in this role. You've done a fantastic job getting projects up and running. When we came in, as you know, there weren't very many projects on the shelf as far as engineering capital projects goes. We had a little bit of trial by fire in 2020 and in 2021, and that got us moving really good to the point where we have a lot of projects moving that I know are making the parish a better place, and there will be many projects that will continue on that we were able to get started and are working on funding for that will continue after this administration is gone. So I want to say thank you to that. I think you're going to work out very well as our engineering director, and the fact that you got Mr. Alamon's vote of confidence there, I think supersedes any vote that you guys take.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Daniels.
And Mr. Bingham, I want to say it's been a pleasure working with you so far, and I apologize that we have a little late start on St. Rose, but I'm excited to see the excitement in your eyes as our projects start developing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. I guess it's my turn. Miles, Mr. Bingham, you're one of my favorites. You've done a hell of a job, I got to tell you. And I mean, you've got a good crew. Some of the projects that are underway right now, I mean, I'll name the ones that are in my area. You know, the rebuild of pump station number 2, the widening of the canal on Dunleith, the opening up, you know, and during your term now, putting additional culverts, temporary though they may be, but they'll probably remain permanent over by the nursing home. And then now with the Jackson bores that are going on, trying project, I gotta tell you. So at the end of the day, my district has really done well while you're on seat, and I see it will continue to do so till we finish these projects. On other really important, and I'll point toward months, because those 2 pump stations are enormously important for the parish. So getting that done, having a great contractor to engineer it, and having a wonderful construction contractor is a testimony to all the stuff you guys have done. And I can do nothing but sing your praises, and I wish you the best in this position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more council discussion? Doesn't look like it. So please cast your votes on the confirmation from Mr. Miles Bingham, Director of Department of Engineering. And that passes unanimously. Reports, finance, and administrative activities. 2026-0177, Department of Planning and Zoning, and 2026-0178, Coastal Zone Advisory. So we'll have Michael Albert.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
That's a lot to follow. Thank you all. Yeah, it's good to be here, and I appreciate you mentioning that I am doing both reports. Next year, we will probably split this up into 2 things, actually. I'll get more into that as we go. Thank you all for having me tonight. It's good to see the council again, as we do every other 2 weeks, and the parish president. Do I have control of this? Okay. Department of Planning and Zoning is broken into 4 distinct divisions. We control land use planning, we manage coastal zone and floodplain, we perform the parish's code enforcement, and the permitting work. Each of those things is interrelated, and everything relies on each other. You don't get permits that come in without land use review. Things that come in for coastal are tied to permitting. Oftentimes code enforcement issues can be resolved through permitting. So everyone in our office works together as a team to make sure that quality of life stays high and we're able to achieve the development goals that the parish has set forth in its land use master planning. So let's take a look at 2025 in the past year. And I always get caught because my presentations are in the middle of the year, so I'm going back and kind of leaving out 2026. But in 2025, I can easily talk about the fact that we lowered our CRS rating to a 6. That is a 20% reduction on full risk premium policies for your flood insurance. If you don't see it on your policy, call your agent. That will be in effect for St. Charles Parish come October. Last year, we did several updates to the flood damage prevention ordinance and the wetland zoning. Those last 2 things are kind of tied together, so we've made a big effort to go through our floodplain management and how we respond to FEMA and look for all these places where we can get points in our program. Several of the things that we brought to the council and that you approved helped us to get there. We drafted a substantial update to the commercial zoning district. I believe that's coming up on a legislative committee soon, so that we can finalize that. And majorly, we reestablished the Coastal Zone Advisory Committee and hired new staff. Clay Leday is here with me. Hopefully next year he will take over and do his part of the Coastal Zone report. But that's been a project a long time in the making, and I will talk a little bit more about that as I go further into this. This is our organizational chart. We have stayed at a staffing inclusive of myself at about 20 for probably the past 8 years or so. We stay almost entirely fully staffed. Right now we're down one code enforcement inspector, but that job's posted. One thing to note about our staff, we have 3 certified planners, which is a lot for a department our size. That is not an easy accreditation to get. We also currently have 3 certified floodplain administrators. And we have made efforts to make those training opportunities available to the staff. So hopefully we'll have more CFMs in the next year or two. I know I have at least one person going out to try taking the test this year, so hopefully that goes well for them. Construction permitting. We're now essentially entirely outside of the scope of Hurricane Ida. Like 2025 was basically clear of it. There was some remnant things, insurance coming in, but our numbers are basically back to what we always see during the course of any regular year. Trade, renovation, new home starts, our highest volume. We still chair the Code Construction Council. That's 763 permits within a year and about 250 working days. It doesn't seem like a lot on any given day, but every one of those permits is a conversation with a resident explaining the process, what they have to go through, return trips to our office, and these are important things in people's lives, and our staff does a good job taking time to explain the process and what it takes to actually get that approval completed. Major subdivision activity. We're a little bit quieter right now. We don't have any active preliminary plats. Ashton Phase 2 is final plat ready. The construction reviews, actually all 3 of those listed for construction are underway. You've seen the stuff behind the courthouse. There's going to be activity along the side with the parking and the improvements to Courthouse Lane. Now that we're outside of Ida, everything is pretty consistent, from permitting to land use activity, and this kind of reflects that as well. So, like I was saying, the land use applications, you can see the numbers are basically the same. There's a couple areas that spike every year, not really statistically significant. The only thing that has happened for the past number of years is our variance counts are very high. And when you go into the records, majoritively that is DFIRM variances. So going down to the effective map with FEMA, we have a higher regulatory standard that we adopted in 2012. That's something we're going to be actively looking at this year, and we'll probably bring it to you in terms of a conversation. We have talked with FEMA directly, and we think we have a solution that will help people in District 4 and still maintain some high standards. And we think we can put us in a safer regulatory position and reduce the number of variances that the parish is granting. Code enforcement. This is an area that you all are familiar with. I think I hear from most of you every week in one form or another. Code enforcement staff is very busy. They check on permits, make sure things are closed. They take in complaints, anything from grass to buildings to vehicles. The numbers on this are always a little difficult to explain. You'll notice there are more complaints resolved than received. It's because a complaint for something might come in, someone goes out to check on the site, there's more than one thing, that equals more complaints. Some things carry over from year to year. Our inspectors are also out there identifying things themselves. So it's not just when a resident calls something in, they're proactively out looking around, trying to, again, ensure quality of life. Floodplain management. This is where we have made a lot of strides in the past year. We finished our CRS cycle, we got our score. We are already planning for the next cycle. In fact, we're going to try and do a re-rating within the year. We are putting in work for a floodplain management plan that we think we can get a rescoring and potentially drop down to a 5 from the 6 that we're at. But in the past year, we have put ordinances in place to make accessory buildings a little bit easier to permit and make it so that they don't have to get elevated to what's honestly a ridiculous standard. You know, the accessory buildings are larger than they were when some of these things were written. Mr. Pallone recently put in a shed and was able to take advantage of this new requirement to not have to lift that building up as high. I covered that. We are beginning work on a floodplain management effort that will help that CRS score even more. And that plan is active with a public steering and technical committee. Right now, we're in the middle of the plan. We've employed CPEX to help guide us through that. It's really a by-the-numbers thing. FEMA prescribes what we need to do, and we just need to color in the numbers that they're providing. Doing so will provide us with a tremendous amount of points in that CRS system, which should effectively lower our score again. In coastal zone, we have, again, made a lot of strides. This slide goes over the work that we've done. Every year we process about 10 permits locally. There's even more that come in that stay with the state, but we're able to take a portion of those and get them turned around faster to the applicants. Clay and my staff worked on the SHIELD plan this year, which you all adopted earlier. We went back and took our database of information and integrated it into the My Permit Now system, which was a big step forward because some of you have seen it, some of you haven't. Behind the scenes, everything is integrated. So when we look up property addresses, we'll see code enforcement, we'll see planning and zoning, we will see permitting, and now we see coastal stuff too. So it's all tied together. Doesn't mean a lot to you, but it's a big thing for us behind the scenes. We've re-engaged with the Office of Compliance for our coastal program, and what does that actually translate to? We've made Chapter 25 edits to ensure consistency. You know, there was a lot of things in the code that had been looked at in a number of years. We've established the Coastal Zone Advisory Committee. They're meeting monthly. That's actually gone very well. We've had participants come in from the state to talk to them. The public meetings are bringing out some of these concerns in the open, and we're more actively engaging in general. We've also gone out to the public with this brochure that you're seeing up here. You know, the coastal zone stuff is a little bit new for some of the permitting processes, so we're trying to make sure that our commercial partners are aware of what their obligations are at the outset. We're bringing them into our pre-application meetings, and that's gone well so far. And that pretty much concludes my report. I appreciate all the support that we get. A number of the things that I talked about tonight, you actively participated in. The administration's support in taking these projects forward, helping us go to you for funding matters. I think the department's in a good place for success in the future, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert.
Sure.
Okay, see what number we're on here. I know which one we're at here.
He gave both reports. He gave both of these reports.
Right. So it's open to public comment, right? Or no? No?
You just have some questions.
All right. Excuse me for daydreaming. If there's anyone that'd like to speak on the council and ask any questions regarding this, please do so now. Miss Wilson?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Albert, first I want to thank you and your department for everything that you do. But one question I have in reference to code enforcement. In my district, whenever an officer goes out, the resident feels that he or she is being picked on. Mm-hmm. Is there something that the officer has, or is there a pamphlet that can be compiled of, if it's in reference to grass, there is an ordinance, if it's in reference to vehicles, there is an ordinance for that, so that the resident can actually see the reasoning why the officer is out there, so they won't feel like they're being picked on? Because I get a lot of calls when they have an officer to go out, they're like they're being picked on when they're not being picked on, because we are following the ordinance. But in order for the resident to actually see there is an actual ordinance there, is it something that they can give them, or
there isn't? But that's a good idea. That's something that we can we can develop and make available to hand out.
Yeah.
Kind of like a guide, like
the reason
here's what we do, and this is why what's going on may be a problem.
Yes, and based on if they're going for a vehicle in the yard, if they're going for tall grass, they're able to see that there is an ordinance, and even when the ordinance was created, and maybe possible which council members at that particular time had approved that ordinance when it was created, or something like that, because many people in my district feels like it's just coming out of the sky.
I can definitely commit to the first part, explaining what's in there in terms of when they were approved. I will do my best, but yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. Mike, just want to say great job. I know your office has been going really hard on a lot of the planning and zoning cases. I know the vast majority of them resolve themselves when we make contact with our property owners for whatever violation they may have. I will tell you that every day I get a stack of these green folders when people don't resolve the issues, where we have to take it to the next step, and then those green folders are transferred back to Michael and over to legal, where we have to take that next step. And generally a certain amount of them resolve themselves once they receive a letter from the legal department, and then Corey's office takes it all the way if they have to. So I feel like I've signed at least 1,000 of those a year. But thanks for the work that you all do. And then Clay, great job taking the CZM stuff to the next level, getting the coastal committee back up and running. And please pass on my thanks to Marnie for her work. We have a lot of good stuff, I think, coming up pretty soon that could be very beneficial for the residents. And it's my sincere hope that we lock in that level 5 before our October timeframe. So
we're going to try.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot
Thank
of
you.
retirements on the horizon too.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, I just also wanted to say thank you for all you and your staff do. The work that Marty's done, to help with the CRS rating, and Clay coming on, and the SHIELD plan got completed. You've had a lot on your plate, you and your staff, and just really appreciate everything that's getting done.
Thank you. The staff's doing it. I may be standing here, but there's 19 other people doing the hard work.
China.
You have a great team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Michael, I have to give accolades to the guy, that code enforcement guy that's in our area. Speaks volumes to what he does. And he moved. Unfortunately, he's doing such a great job, and people love him. He's getting things done. So we'll have to get initiated on the replacement. Hopefully that'll.
Interviews are tomorrow.
Okay. Hope get somebody that's good. Okay, on the CZAC, the Coastal Zone Advisory Committee, I'd like to echo what other people have said and thank Clay and Marnie for making this happen. It was only 7 years since I think they had the last meeting when we had reinitiated and rejuvenated this thing. So I try to go to every one of them. I find them very informative. I have to say that when you ask questions of Clay or Marnie, you get a response, which is good. And they have great follow-up. And I think that we're on the right track with that, and I think great things are going to come as a result of it. We even had some participants in the last meeting I went to who had to address some issues that they had. So kudos, and thank all your staff.
Certainly. Thank you.
Okay. Any other addresses? Thank you, Mr. Albert. Right. Going to 2026-0179, Parish President remarks. Mr. Jewell.
Chairman, it's never good when we're an hour and a half in, we're still on the reporting side of the agenda. But I will try to be as quick as possible. Today officially marks the start of the 2026 hurricane season. And while this season has been projected to be influenced by a so-called super El Nino, we still have a risk. And we've seen that in El Nino years like Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Betsy, those were El Nino years. So we know that there's still a risk. but that generally the statistical risk is lower for the Gulf when we do have an El Nino. But preparedness remains a year-round priority for us, and we encourage everyone to do their part by reviewing their emergency plans, building hurricane kits, and staying informed throughout the season. Residents can sign up for SCP alerts by texting SCP alerts to 888-777 or by visiting scpemergencyalerts.com to receive important information and notifications and updates. On the screen, you can see we held our hurricane preparedness meeting. We went through a scenario for this year and just got everybody back into the EOC, all of our stakeholders, all of our ESFs, and got them just thinking about that hurricane season. This was about a week ago that we took advantage of this opportunity. Okay, we have some work going on around Sugar House Road. This is on Sugar House Road, and we did some work in the park with some drainage that we've been sweeping some ditches. So just showing you that our crews are still out and working to make sure that our ditches and all of our conveyances are staying in tip-top shape. We do ask residents to do their part by keeping ditches clear and making sure that they are cutting their grass in their ditch. That is a huge and important factor that helps water flow more freely during rainstorms. Diane pump station improvements. Several improvements have recently been completed at the Diane pump station to improve efficiency. The discharge sump area and outlet canal were opened and swept to improve water flow. Pumps 1 and 2 were completely rebuilt at the station, and a 36-inch pump and additional outfall into the canal were added, increasing the station's capacity by 34,000 gallons per minute. I want to say thanks for Brandon and his team, and Miles and his team for working to help design that and get that project permitted and in place. Sand volleyball work has begun over at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center, with crews currently preparing the site foundation. The project will include sand volleyball courts along with fencing and lighting to support both daytime and evening play, and we're excited to continue expanding our non-traditional recreational opportunities for our residents. We look forward to seeing this project come to life. Anticipated completion date is August 2026. Registration for St. Charles Parish Fall Recreation Sports is now open and will run through June 19th. You have almost a full month to get signed up for recreation. Please tell all your friends and family that the recreation is open. We've been posting about this online. We send emails, but the lineup for sports includes baseball, softball, tennis, tackle football, volleyball, and cheerleading. We are proud to continue offering opportunities for our athletes to enjoy another exciting season of recreation sports within the community. Residents can learn more and register online at www.scpparksandrec.com. Our summer food program begins today. The Department of Community Services has officially kicked off another year of the summer food service program, a vital program for many people in our parish. This annual program helps to provide nutritious meals to the local children throughout the summer while school is out of session. The program is open Monday through Thursdays from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at RK Middle School in Luling and Harry Hurst Middle School in Destrehan. There is bus transportation available for participating children, and there is no registration fee or sign-up required. We are proud to partner with the United Way of St. Charles and our school system, as well as the Department of Education, to continue supporting families and ensuring children have access to healthy, nutritious meals during summer break. If you would like to if you'd like more information to be able to attend this program, we ask you to call the Department of Community Services at 985-764-7944. Again, that's 985-764-7944. Okay, next we've, oh my God, my watch here is talking to me. In recent weeks, there has been significant buildup along 3160 and LA 18. This is a habitual problem that I have worked with Councilwoman Wilson on for, more than a year for sure, where dirt from a nearby sand pit is collecting in this intersection, creating a dangerous condition. I'm happy to report that today the LADOTD was out helping to clear this intersection as much of the dirt as possible. making it all safer. Again, also, there's a nearby culvert near the gas station that is also plugged up, and I've been working with Brandon and his crews to get that unplugged with our culvert truck. One of the things we are looking at, along with DOTD, is if we have to continue going out here and doing this, is invoicing the company responsible and making sure that that this isn't falling on the residents of St. Charles Parish to have to subsidize this work from a private business. America 250 Golf Cart Parade. Make sure to mark your calendars. We have the America 250 Golf Cart Parade coming up on June 28th at 2 p.m. For the special community event, there's going to be a festival at the end of the route at the West Bank Bridge Park, food trucks, and a band, and we hope to see you there. It's open to Jeeps. It's open to side-by-sides. It's open to golf carts and other unique vehicles, and we look forward to everybody coming out and participating and showing their American 250 pride. Later in the summer, on July 3rd, we will have our annual celebration for America 250 and our annual July 3rd event at the West Bank Bridge Park. We're going to have live music from the Electrics, food, fireworks as we kick off, again, the America 250 celebration together as a community. Gates are going to open at 4:30 p.m. The band will take the stage at 5 p.m. and the fireworks will begin at 9 p.m. A full lineup, again, of food trucks, vendors, will be announced soon. Stay tuned for more details. Additionally, in that same realm, on the America 250, work is underway for the America 250 murals at the West Bank Bridge Park, a special public art project in collaboration with the Paul Mallard Business and Arts Initiative that will celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary while adding a unique visual feature to one of our most used community spaces. The two murals are currently being created by artist Mandy Mangru-Poche, whose work will help capture the spirit of patriotism and community pride in St. Charles Parish as we continue to celebrate America 250. Next are some renovations that are going to be going on Courthouse Lane and Joe Louis Lane. As you know, there is a subdivision being built behind the courthouse. As a part of the stipulations of that project, we are requiring the developer to make improvements to Courthouse Lane and Joe Louis Lane, specifically on Joe Louis Lane. That is a narrow street, widening that street to become more in compliance with a standard width. Same thing on Courthouse Lane. There'll be some widening and will be some safety improvements. So we've asked our employees and the public not to park along Courthouse Lane as the work begins tomorrow. As a part of this as well, parking will be eliminated along the street and will be added across the street at Landry. This will prevent our employees and the public from having to back onto Joe Louis Lane, which is a safety hazard. And the elimination of the street parking and the addition of the street parking will cancel each other out. So we're not losing any parking spaces. Our employees will just no longer, in some spaces there, will no longer be parked on the street. Ultimately, the road will be wider, more safe, not only for the residents who live on Courthouse Lane and Joe Louis Lane, but the future residents who will live in that subdivision and the employees who work at the courthouse. Also, we'll look at the sales tax comparison. Sales tax collections were slightly up for April, about 1% to date. We are nearly 6% higher than we were this time last year, specifically 5.92% year over year. And Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. I have a quick question, if I could. At the Diane station, maybe it's for Mr. Bingham, I don't know. I know last year we added that quote-unquote temporary permanent pump, the hydraulically driven pump, and then I see some pictures with the sheet pile. Is there anything that's been done just recently to that pump station? It's about 76 cubic feet per second addition.
Well, as Mr. Jewell, President Jewell said, we've added an actual permanent pump, and we've also done a lot of work around the pump station to rebuild several of the pumps. Our crews have been, that's internal, that we've done that sort of thing. So we've actually, it's similar to what we did at Destrehan 2, where we actually pulled the pumps, refurbished them, and that we went from being about 60% efficient to getting back to close to 100% efficiency. So, and I'll let Mr. Bernard
So the hydraulic pump is gone now?
Yes.
It's gone?
actually on
Okay.
SCADA.
That's what I'm asking.
I'm sorry. It's actually on SCADA at this point. Yes.
It's what?
It's on SCADA at this point,
Good.
so it's
Good.
fully monitored online.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, I just want to make sure it's clear. The hydraulic pump is still there on SCADA. Are you saying it's not there?
No, the 36-inch pump is still there, and we installed SCADA system on it to where we
Oh,
can
okay.
now
So
monitor it.
it's the same pump that was
It's
installed
remote.
last year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just
I just wanted to make sure, because it would be wonderful if y'all added another pump on top of that. Great. Thank you. You just can't have enough pumps.
No, that's true.
Thank you. Turn on the mic. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, June 15th, 2026, 6 p.m., Council Chambers, Courthouse, Hunville. 2026-0174. Copies have been made and placed in your folders for 2026-184, additionally. Ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at a previous meeting. 2026-0162, an ordinance to approve and authorize the parish president to execute an act of sale by the St. Charles Parish for a portion of property known as Eastern Greenbelt Park, described as Lot 1A, Block F1, and Lot 11A, Block H, Norco, Louisiana 70079, in the amount of $20,000. And Mr. Raymond, could you?
Good afternoon, council members. Yes, this is an ordinance that, when approved, will authorize the parish president to execute an act of sale to Shell Oil for the sale of 2 lots in Norco for the price of $20,000. The property did appraise at $1,000. The ordinance actually will also, when passed as is, will declare that the park is no longer needed for a public purpose. That is a legal prerequisite which will be satisfied.
Good. File number 2026-0162 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Council, Parish President, my name is Christopher Schaller, 411 Good Hope Street in Norco. I do understand the need to be more efficient with public funds as it deals with our parks and stuff like that. But the Good Hope Park, doing away with it, brings a few issues into play. One of them being a safety for some of our kids. The area of Good Hope Street between 5th Street and 3rd Street is used as a drag strip a few times. That is the only place where some of our kids, my 10-year-old daughter and some neighbor kids, that is the only place where they go and they play. They ride bikes very close to it. If we can't do anything about the drag strip, then I would ask that we keep the park for the kids. Our buses are already having to pull halfway into the opposing lane, not just on Good Hope Street, but in other areas of Norco, to stop people from almost running over kids. Again, this is a safety thing. That is the only reason why I bring it up. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, if there's anybody else to come up and speak, please do so now. Looks like there aren't. Are there any council discussions? Ms. Fonseca?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Raymond, I think a few of us did get questions on how or why this process didn't involve the normal auctioning of parish property process. If you could explain that, I'd appreciate it.
If I understand that your question, it's what is the process? The process that the parish or any governing body in the state of Louisiana has to go through before it liquidates real estate is to advertise the property or advertise the sale of the property for 3 times within a 15-day period. part of what that does is it gives the public the opportunity to object or to voice his position relative to the public use issue. If this council finds that it is not needed, not any longer needed for a public purpose, only then can the parish sell it, and only then can it be sold for at least its market value, which is $1,000. We've had it appraised, and you may ask why it's worth $1,000. Well, it's only worth $1,000 because when Shell, who's now buying it from us, gave it to us in 2006, they gave it to us subject to certain restrictive covenants which limit its use to parks and recreational type uses, and it's encumbered with all kinds of servitudes for pipelines and oil conveyance systems and so forth right now. So it can't ever be used for anything other than a public park or oil and gas conveyances. So it really doesn't have a whole lot of value to anyone other than to us. And we're getting 20 times its value.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you explaining that because you can do it a whole lot better than I can. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Fisher. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In Norco, it's my district. One of the things that we promised people when we took office was we were going to improve quality recreation. And I think we say we've done it. Over $1 million spent in Norco, Muntz, New Sarpy, and parts of Destrehan in my district, and a little bit over $20 million spent parish-wide in everybody else's. So quality recreation facilities is what we need. Chris, I've talked to the Sheriff's Department. I've had Joe Ganote several times on Good Hope Street with me. The Sheriff's Office has done tickets. They're issuing it. We actually looked at changing the speed limit. I sent out 97 letters to residents. I got 11 back. The majority of tickets that are written are residents that live on Good Hope. And I hate to say that, but Chris, please do me a favor. Anytime you see anybody reckless, anytime you see a bus having to pull over, please pick up the phone and call the Sheriff's Department. They will be out there. They will respond. They will be out there. We cannot have an endangerment safety system like we see. So I support it. Shell's been a great partner. I'm glad they're going to take back. We're going to have more green zone. They've contributed some money to Bethune, $500,000 to do that project, so that we're setting ourselves up for the future to have these quality parks. So I support it 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to say, obviously, there's two components to this one here, and then one later in the agenda that we'll have to take up, which will encompass everything that the parish owns within this park. This is within our master plan for recreation, which is investing in our parks that are seeing usage from the residents, and then divesting in assets that are no longer being used, and trying to reduce some of the recreational acreage that we have to maintain. It's not a fun thing to do. It's not the first time we've done this. Councilwoman O'Daniels can tell you, I think that was earlier this year or last year, felt like a while ago now, that we had to divest in a park in that district, and it's not going to be the last one. So as we make investments throughout the parish into parks that we know people are utilizing, and I'm not saying that there aren't some people utilizing it, but as we make those investments in certain parks, we're pulling back from some of the recreational acreage that is being underutilized or has low to no recreational value. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ms. O'Daniels?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have one follow-up question. Maybe Dwayne is not here anymore.
He's here.
Oh, hey. Once it goes back to Shell, who's going to be responsible for keeping up the property? Okay. And I'm pretty confident they'll do so. So it won't be right. Right. So it won't be the same problem we're experiencing in our decommissioned park. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniels. If there's no further council discussion, please cast your vote. And that passes unanimously. Okay. 2026-0170, an ordinance to amend the St. Charles Parish Code of Ordinances, Appendix A, St. Charles Parish Zoning Ordinance 1981, Section 3, Definitions, adding a definition for data center. Section 7, Zoning District Criteria and Regulations. D, Manufacturing and Industry Districts, adding data centers as permitted uses in the M1 and M2 zoning districts and adding requirements for data centers to Section 7, Supplemental Use and Performance Regulations. Mr. Albert, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A number of months back, we identified that there was effectively a hole in the ordinance with regards to these uses. You know, this is an industry that is burgeoning in the country. People are talking about it everywhere. We recognize that if one of these developments were to come to the parish now, there was really no zoning restrictions on them, and they would be permitted in most districts. So we began the process of looking to categorize this and put it in front of the elected officials to make some determinations on. This proposal has gone to Legislative Committee twice. It's gone to the Planning Commission. We've taken the feedback. We have produced the document that you see in front of you. This sets forth regulatory guidelines for how data centers are defined, where they are located, how they are regulated on the sites that they intend to go on. It covers the actual site development in terms of buffering and landscaping. It has noise restrictions, and it reflects the amendments that came out of the Legislative Committee as well as the Planning Commission. I know there's still some work to be done on this, but I think this is a good first step towards properly regulating this industry. I think in front of you there is a proposed minor amendment to actually define adjacency as it is utilized in this ordinance. That has the support of my department as well as legal. I know there's some other conversation to be had on that, so I will be happy to entertain questions and assist as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. Ms. O'Daniels. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to introduce two amendments.
I think that
Oh, sorry.
we have
I'm
to
sorry.
open it to public hearing first.
Cart before the horse.
Okay. 2026-0170 is now open to public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Hornville. This horse, you know, the old saying, don't kick the dead horse. Well, this horse should not be dead. Could be really bad for St. Charles Parish. Our parish president invited them to come by telling them, we've got all the water needs you can ever have in your mind. We got it. Don't worry about it. Come on over. Energy Louisiana says, we got all the power you could ever need. And if we don't, we'll build you another one. Power generating station, that is. You know, people over the years have heard me say this, and I'll keep saying it. Zoning issues should be pretty simple, but they never are. Zoning is set up to protect you from your neighbor and your neighbor from you. Take a minute and think. The residents of St. Charles Parish or the you. The data center, whoever they may be, or the neighbors. Are we, the you, getting protected? Not with this ordinance. Yeah, we're being proactive and we're making some ideas and we're putting some things on papers. But we don't know enough about this industry to know if any of this makes sense. Is 300 feet enough, or should it be 3,000 feet? The Mississippi River levee is 25 feet tall. But when they're moving barges around in the river, you can hear them clanking from my front porch. which is about 3/4 of a mile from the river. So a 10-foot, 8-foot, 12-foot buffer, whatever it is going to be, will not be sufficient if you just use that as an example. Then we get into the vegetation. 25 feet of vegetation. We got trouble, like Mr. Albert says, we got trouble enforcing our grass cutting ordinance. So when you put in all this buffer and they build the data center and all the stuff dies, the hurricane comes through and blows it away, who's going to shut down the data center and tell them you can't run, you can't operate until you get your buffer back in place? Nobody. It ain't going to happen. I still say we need put on the brakes and stop this. And I ask you to do this tonight, because before this council meets again, if I'm a data center construction company, I'm building one in St. Charles Parish. They can meet all these watered down ordinance and regulations, because there ain't very much doing anything. They got all the water supply they need, as Mr. Parish President told them all. And Entergy is certainly on board with that, because they have sat at this podium and told us that they can build and are building the units that they will need to power their data centers. So use your power of emergency ordinance tonight. Pass an ordinance to put a moratorium on this. And don't tell me, oh, we can't do moratoriums, people are going to get mad.
Mr. Ullman, your time is up.
I would like another minute.
We can grant you another minute if the council votes for it. Motion to extend time by 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That'll be allowed.
Okay.
Okay. And it's a motion by, I couldn't even read it fast enough, by Ms. O'Daniels and seconded by Ms. Wilson. Please cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Please proceed, Mr. Alma.
Thank you very much. Back up a little bit. Use the power of emergency ordinance to put the brakes on this. Put in the moratorium. We did it for drainage when this past president first came into office, because we was fearful that so many of our homeowners had flooded. A lot of them are still flooding, but we did it. We did it because it was a positive thing to do. We were trying to protect our residents. We need to do this tonight. It's under the same guidance. We need to protect our residents. We need to get this right, because once it's in, it's in. We won't shut it down. Nobody's going to have the power to shut them down. These people are powerful people. They invest in money that we never ever heard of before in building these structures and these facilities. As I told Mr. Commodore one time, I don't even know if this is compatible with what we do here in St. Charles Parish. I don't know enough about data centers, but what I've read, it scares me. I've asked this parish president to put together a committee, some council people, maybe some citizens, and go unannounced and just sit around these existing data centers and listen to what's going on. Let's find out the truth. Let's find out what we really need for the protection of St. Charles Parish. Remember, zoning is to protect you from your neighbor and your neighbor from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alamo. If there's anyone else to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening, council members. My name is Michelle Berg. I'm the Vice President of Business and Economic Development for Entergy Louisiana. My business address is 4809 Jefferson Highway, Jefferson, Louisiana. I appreciate the opportunity, certainly, to be here tonight, and appreciate the tough decisions that you all have to make to make appropriate land use decisions here in the parish, and certainly represent the best interest of all of the residents and businesses that call this parish home. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Entergy Louisiana in support of the proposed ordinance, which creates clear zoning requirements for data centers. I'd also like to share a few perspectives informed by our extensive experience with data centers over the past 2 years. First, we continue to see a flurry of requests from project developers and tech companies alike that are contacting us looking with interest to site in the state. This includes engagements certainly from the largest tech companies like Amazon and Google and Meta, all of which have projects that are underway in various states of completion across the 4 states that we serve. So certainly much smaller companies. Some are looking to partner with some of the larger tech companies. Some are the more traditional, not AI data centers, not hyperscale data centers, but the smaller data centers that exist today that no one even knows exist here within the state and within the parish. They all have 2 things in common. They want certainty in how they site, and they want speed to market. If they can't site quickly, they're not going to win the race, and they're going to look elsewhere to site. Certainty includes knowing where data centers are allowed, what standards apply, and what the expectations are up front. Speed, as I mentioned, a predictable, well-defined process that allows good projects to move forward without unnecessary delay. So having these rules of engagement established here in St. Charles Parish provides a very positive signal to potential developers that St. Charles Parish is open for investment. And I certainly applaud this council and the administration for being proactive in this space. The second point I want to touch on just briefly is this common question that we get around what does a data center mean to me and what is that going to do for my electric bill? Is my bill going to go up as a result? As we compete for this next generation of large scale data centers, we're making a pledge certainly alongside, with our with approval of the Louisiana Public Service Commission around this concept of Fair Share Plus. These large data centers are paying for all of the infrastructure required to reliably interconnect and serve them. And the plus means that they're also expected to derive benefits or deliver benefits for all of our existing customers. So we recently announced this expanded partnership with Meta that will bring about $2.8 billion, billion with a B, dollars of benefits for all of our customers all around the state over the 20-year contract period. So I'll just close by saying Entergy is certainly approaching this opportunity for data center growth thoughtfully and with a long-term view, focused on reliability of the grid and customer protections while ensuring that the growth creates lasting value for the communities that we serve, this one included. I encourage the council to support the zoning change, which enables a clear and thoughtful framework for responsible data center development within the parish.
Thank you, Ms. Berg. Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry. Lord. Public hearing is still open. God, I'm tired. If there's anybody else that'd like to come up and speak on this item, please do so now. You've got 3 minutes to do so. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Flo Dumas. My business address is 608 Judge at Dufresne Drive in Luling and 4317 West Airline Highway in Reserve. And I'm honored to serve as the chair of the River Region Chamber of Commerce on behalf of the Board of Directors and membership. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. The River Region Chamber represents businesses across St. Charles, St. John, and St. James parishes. Our mission is to strengthen the economic vitality in our region by supporting business growth, workforce development, investment, and opportunities that improve the quality of life of our residents. That mission is why I'm here today in support of responsible development of data centers in St. Charles Parish. Our economy is changing. The technologies that power healthcare, education, manufacturing, banking, logistics, and artificial intelligence all rely on digital infrastructure. Data centers have become a critical part of how modern communities compete, attract investment, and prepare for our future. For generations, St. Charles Parish has been a leader in economic development. We have built a reputation as a place where industry, innovation, and opportunity can thrive. And as a result, our parish and people have benefited from our infrastructure, to our schools, to the tax base of this parish, and we have been a driver in generating economic opportunity for this region. Well, data centers represent another opportunity to build on that legacy while positioning our parish for the next generation of growth. These projects bring significant private investments and create economic opportunities for local businesses and skilled workers. Just as important, investments like these help diversity our economic base. Communities across the countries are actively competing technology-driven development because of recognize the value of being a part of digital economy. We should having Conversations about St. Charles Parish can lead the future, not whether we should be a part of it. At the same time, I want to acknowledge that the residents have questions. Those questions are important and deserve thoughtful answers. Responsible development requires transparency, planning, and collaboration. It requires developers, local government, utilities, and community stakeholders to work together to ensure projects meet high standards and address concerns related to infrastructure, environmental impacts, and quality of life. Supporting responsible development does not mean overlooking community concerns. It means engaging in a process that balances growth and accountability and ensures decisions are made on both today's residents and future generations in mind. The River Region Chamber of Commerce has always supported opportunities that strengthen our economy, create jobs, expand tax base, and help build a more prosperous future in our region. We believe responsible data centers development aligns for all those goals. As leaders,
Dumas.
we have the opportunity.
Ms. Dumas, are you close to done, or do you?
Yes,
need
I'm
some-
close to done. The River Region Chamber of Commerce supports responsible data centers development because we believe it represents investment, innovation, and long-term economic growth for our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Dumas. Okay, public hearing is still open on file number 2026-0170. If there's anyone else who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. O'Daniels.
Third time's a charm. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The record will reflect that I would have preferred perhaps to take a pause and and get a group together and talk about it, but that didn't pass. So here we are. And the bottom line is that a group of people have worked on an ordinance to try to come up with the best possible first, second, third pass at a data center ordinance. It's been through a process. It just came back from the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I had one more, actually I worked with Planning and Zoning, Parish President Jewell. I had a few more amendments, and I'd like to go ahead and introduce that amendment at this time. Make a motion to amend Section E, noise. In the notwithstanding language is in the second paragraph. And it's in notwithstanding any other provisions of law, whether general or specific, this section shall govern and supersede all other laws, regulations, or ordinances to the extent they are, and I want to delete inconsistent with and replace inconsistent with less restrictive.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. O'Daniels.
I have more.
You
If
have
you
some more?
don't mind me doing the whole thing at once,
Okay.
would be great. Okay, so it's going to read, notwithstanding any other provisions of law, whether general or specific, this section shall govern and supersede all other laws, regulations, or ordinances to the extent they are less restrictive with the provisions of this section. So the second amendment of the second subpart is going to be in section F. And there was a question, it's particularly applicable to my district, where we have a lot of M1 that's right across from railroad tracks and some servitudes. So the Planning, Zoning, and Administration have proposed this definition that'll help clear up that question of whether or not this is considered adjacent to a residential area. And that's in section F, adjacency. It's a new section defining adjacency. For the purposes of this section, quote, adjacent, end quote, is defined as two lots of record and or parcels sharing a common property line, or any situation where two lots of record and or parcels would share a common property line, but they are separated by an undivided road, undivided street, rail line, and or drainage conveyance, and no other lot of record and or parcels exists between them. And Chairman, that is my amendment.
Ms. O'Daniels, is that both of the? Thank you. We have a motion. However, I think we're going to have to reread that other one after we go through this. But a motion by Ms. O'Daniels to amend with a seconder by Ms. DeBruyer.
Would you like me to reread any particular section before the vote?
I think so, because we
Okay.
don't have a copy here to read from.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Yes, please.
Section F.
it's new.
That is the last.
Are we, have we run through legal?
Yes, it's, as it says on the top of your sheet, it says been run through. Yes, that's no problem.
But I do want to ask Corey one question. Because of the fact that we call a common property line, make sure I'm understanding this right, because we have state roads that run through middle of M1 and M2s now. We have railroad tracks that run through, served by 7. So we're saying, but are separate. It would be fine. We're not going to say,
Just for the purposes of this ordinance for data centers, they would be considered adjacent. So if you have, and Michael, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you have one property, a railroad track, and another property, the railroad track would still consider it adjacent. It wouldn't be a dividing piece of property.
This adjacency definition wouldn't affect the industries that you're talking about because they're not data centers. This definition applies specifically to the review of data centers when it comes to proximity to residential.
so, let me try to understand this right. Rail line or drainage conveyance, shouldn't that be rail line and?
And/or. I didn't, yes.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. Got a lot of this going on back and forth. Thank you.
Yeah, I understand. It's just what we should be doing is voting on is whether or not we're going to amend it, but I think you have to read the previous one again.
Okay.
That was rather long.
Okay. Well, the first section of the amendment has to do with section E, noise, which is in the ordinance that everyone has in front of them. The only change in that is going to be in the second paragraph, beginning with notwithstanding. So it's going to read, notwithstanding any other provisions of law, whether general or specific, this section shall govern and supersede all other laws, regulations, or ordinances to the extent they are, and this is where I'm changing a couple words, inconsistent with, is what you have now, is going to be changed to less restrictive to the provision, with the provisions of this section. I apologize. Less restrictive with the than. Okay, so less restrictive than the provisions of this section. So that would basically cement in this particular noise ordinance as to data centers.
Okay.
And also allow for chapter 24, which covers noise, whatever provisions are in there would still also apply.
Okay, file number 2026-0170. The amendments as stated is now open for public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding the amendment? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussions? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to say on the the definition of adjacency, that was basically what the definition outlines is the spirit of what we were trying to achieve. And this just prevents potential misinterpretation of that in the future. So we approve of that.
And the noise. The less restrictive, that's okay too. All right. Seeing no further council discussion, please cast your vote on the amendment to 2026-0170. And that passes unanimously. So, file number 2026-0170, as amended, is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any further council discussion on the amended ordinance? Mr. Carmadell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Michael, what we just amended, the noise 55 decibels as produced by the data center. Are we sure that's a good level? An idling gasoline truck is about 65 decibels. A diesel truck's about 85. A lawnmower's about 85. Are we setting ourselves up for failure by putting it so low? I mean, I can hear my son's Toyota Tundra from 600 feet away. I'm just concerned that we leave this thing at 55 decibels, that we are opening us. I mean, we'll get complaints the day it starts because that's a very, very low noise threshold.
I agree that at an ambient noise threshold, it is low.
I'm pretty sure we can go to any industrial facility in this parish and sit on the highway and pick up 55 decibels.
I would probably agree with you on that. It will be the responsibility of those developments to utilize that 300-foot setback and whatever methods they have to do to achieve that.
Is that a number we found in some research?
Yes.
Or is that something we just came up with?
That was
found in research? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jewell.
Mr. Chairman, I withdrew.
Say again? Okay, thank you very much. Ms. O'Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When looking at the data center definition, as each definition, you will see that there really isn't a way we can delineate between one data center and another type of data center, and there's a variety of data centers. We believe that the best way to protect the public is to deal with the noise, which is something that we know is a aggravation from data centers, from other reports from other parts, and we don't really have a whole lot of experience with this. So this was proposed by after research, and we believe that there's insulation and construction methods and other ways to prevent noise from impeding on people enjoying their homes and having this basically in their backyards. For St. Rose, this is literally in people's backyards, just separated by the railroad track. So I believe this is a good start. We probably have some more work to do in the noise ordinance area, but I think this is a good start to be protective to the residents. Thank you.
Mr. Jewell, did you want to add back?
Yeah, Chairman, one of the things I'll mention just from what I've seen just over the last few months is that it does seem like the complaints that are happening throughout the country and some of the other areas where data centers have popped up, that the industry as a whole is responding to those complaints. The water being an issue. They just talked about a new data center that's being done in the parish, and I recently spoke and met with the parish president over in West Feliciana, where they're doing that Hut 8 project. One of the things they're doing there is to not consume a lot of water. It's basically a closed loop radiator system. They fill it one time over 3 years, and then 3 years passes, they fill it again. So the water becomes not a factor. Same thing with noise. I'm looking at some improvements that the industry has made to be able to lower the amount of noise. And as you know, the power consumption is starting to come down as they look at different things. So one of the things I think this is a good threshold, a good start. But I do think that the industry is also adapting to some of the complaints that people are seeing. And I think that if any project would ever come, we also just have to make sure to do our due diligence as a parish council and as a planning and zoning office to make sure that we walk through each of these potential complaints and potential impacts, depending on where they are going to locate within the parish, especially if they're going to be locating within earshot of a residential use.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, I just wanted to note for the record, since the committee meeting, have we had any applications for data centers?
No applications, no inquiries, no formal request for a discussion, nothing, including no comments or questions from the public, to be honest.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. Well, I guess it's my turn here. I've done a lot of research, and I'm not an expert on noise. I have taken courses on it. I've taken courses on vibration. It's been a long, long time, but that makes you dust things off. Can't say that 55 dB A-weighted scale is the right thing. I will say that some of the research I show or I've seen, C-weighted is the one to start looking at as well. And that's starting to show up in some of the various literature that I have seen. And I think I had spoken at the Planning Commission meeting, and I actually spoken to some people in the Planning Commission prior to that. And I've had a meeting with Mr. Jewell and the administration this past Thursday to discuss this a little further. This is a hypothetical discussion here, but I made some comments that might illuminate this subject a bit, particularly because it's a very difficult subject and one that's somewhat contentious. And we've agreed to at least consider these, but I'm going to read them. You know, with respect to the 55 dBA, these measurements shall be made both with A and C weighted instruments to ensure addressing all possible frequency ranges that may be generated from DC equipment, data center equipment, DC. Low frequency noise at distances as far as 2,000 feet shall be analyzed. And if that sounds a little bit far, we have some documentation of analyses that put sound that are not too far away from this 55, all the way as far out as 6,000 feet away. So it's not an unreasonable thing to consider. Noise measurement, modeling, and analysis shall be performed by professional engineers who specialize in acoustic measurement and analysis. Such work shall include design phase, that is pre and post construction. All work shall be stamped by the engineer of record. I have found those types of references all over the country. So it's not unusual that we consider these things. For data centers whose power will be continuously generated by the facility, acoustic tonal analysis modeling for all octave bands shall be required with particular identification of sound pressure levels in the range of 300 hertz and below using the C-weighted scale. I've spoken to some acousticians. I've spoken to some people that do stuff like this for a living. I'm not going to profess to be the expert, but I think we need to investigate this further. What fits ought to be something that can be done, is reasonable, and it protects the population. Where sections above that I've read are not met by the data center owner, the facility will not be issued a certificate of occupancy or operation for the data center. The certificate will be withheld until the required regulations are met and accepted by the parish engineer. So, having gone through this and having discussed this last Thursday, we got an assurance. You know, Ms. O'Daniels was in that meeting. I had called a meeting with the parish president and his staff, and they've agreed that we would look into this, and that if it's a reasonable thing to do, and I agree, we probably need to have a committee of people, technical people, that can add to this discussion, and then take it from there. But I got to tell you that I know, Mr. Alleman feels like we have to shut it down. I think that would be a total waste of time. That's my own impression and my own feeling. Having been one of the people who had been on the sponsorship of the moratorium, I'm not going to go through that again. All right, that's just not going to happen. So consequently, I feel like this is a base case that we can move forward from with the assurance that the administration is willing to get with technical people and start answering these questions. Many of the things that Mr. Carmadel we're asking, those are still reasonable questions to bring up. So if we can get that assurance, I will certainly feel confident voting for this at this point so that we have something rather than nothing. And that's my story. So thank you. Anybody else to speak? Anybody else in the council to speak on this? If not, please cast your vote for the amended version. And the amended version passes unanimously. Okay, back to the regular agenda. Item number 2026-0172, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with All South Consulting Engineers LLC for the milling drainage improvements, project number P260501, in the lump sum of $85,575. Mr. Bingham, could you please illuminate us on this?
Thank you, sir. Council, this is an area where we've had some drainage issues around the hospital. There is a culvert that runs right next to the hospital building, and it is starting to collapse. There's no way that we could actually get in there and fix this. What we're trying to do here is take the drainage in that area and reroute it over to Milling Street, and then route it to where it actually outfalls. But while we're doing that, we also want to look at the ability to create some drainage ponding in an area, and also improve the drainage for this whole area, this whole general area. So this is a little. The reason that the number is a little higher is we're getting more information than just right next to the hospital and on Milling Street. We're expanding it so we know where our drainage needs to be fixed. So, and this is going to be an in-house project that we do from design standpoint. We're using this particular company to do just the survey.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. File number 2026-0172 is now open to public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Hornville. And I want to make one correction, Mr. Bingham. It's not one, it's one of the many areas in our parish that has drainage issues. You will seldom hear me say anything negative anywhere in this parish when it talks about drainage, because we all have our needs. But when we do these jobs and we give out these professional service contracts, they don't have to be bid. The parish president can decide whoever he wants. That's all legal. But the state of Louisiana also recommends that we do requests for qualifications, RFQ. And I've inquired about RFQs. They don't exist for most of the professional service agreement contracts. I even sent an email to our legal department and asked them about it. Do we routinely do these? If we do them, are they done as a blanket for one contractor to do all projects in the parish, or is it for each individual projects that an RFQ is done? He either couldn't or wouldn't or didn't want to answer my question. So I don't know what's the deal here, because RFQs should be there to protect the taxpaying public. And when we talk about giving out drainage studies, does the master drainage study that we did, 6 years ago now? I can't remember. Does that mean anything? Does that information, is that given to these contractors so they can look at it and piggyback off of it and build it? The master drainage study didn't tell us about this problem? There's so many unanswered questions. Now, we want the drainage fixed, but we can't keep throwing money at it. We got to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alleman. All right, public hearing is still open. If there's anybody who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. What I want to say, when we do RFQs, we don't do them on every individual project. You do one RFQ, you qualify your contractors, and then you utilize that RFQ list to do that. All South Engineers is a qualified and certified surveying company, along with many others that we've used. And for this project, I was trying to pull up the master drainage plan here, couldn't really do it fast enough. But this area is called out in the master drainage plan as a need for increased conveyance. So to answer your question, yes, we have our master drainage plans. When we're doing projects, we give that to our engineers, our internal engineers utilize it when they're working with those engineering firms or when we're working on in-house projects. So it's not like we did that plan and just put it on the shelf and we're not looking at it again. We are utilizing that plan every day when we're working on projects. And I'll turn it over to Miles to add anything I might have missed.
Yeah, I wanted to add that, we did a lot of work with our master drainage plan. We've also worked with LWI, who is the Louisiana Watershed Initiative. They have actually done a lot of drainage analysis in this area in the parish as well. We're working with them to get their models, which we can actually utilize moving forward and amend them as we improve our drainage so that we can continue to actually monitor how our drainage works and see if we can match it all up with what we're doing. So we're really moving forward with this, and I know it's difficult for the residents to wait, to have to wait for their area to get done, but there's a lot of work to be done, and you got to start downstream with pump stations, because I can run all the water to the pump station. If the pump station can't deal with it, we're not going anywhere. And I think we're working very hard to get all of these things, all these areas taken care of. So I would, appreciate this is just a step in the right direction. And I echo what President Jewell says. We do an RFQ. We qualify all the engineering firms, all the survey firms to say that they are capable of doing the work we want. And then we provide that list to the parish president, and he picks one from that list. And I think, truthfully, I've been in other places. He has spread the work out amongst the engineers that have been qualified. I can tell you that we used to have when I got here, we had a very narrow group of people. President Jewell has actually been one of the people that I've worked with that's actually spread it out. And I think he should be commended for what he's done in that regard, because we have used a lot more different engineering firms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. To echo a little bit of what was said already, there are such things as a call-out contract where you get prices to do certain services, and then you get called out on an as-need basis, and that speeds the process, which is a good thing if you're in construction. So the only thing I jumped out at me is the price of this. It's a pretty high figure for everything I've seen over the last 2.5 years thereabouts for surveying services. Is there some scope of this thing that's so large that it costs that kind of money?
Yes, we actually expanded the area so that we could get more information and ask for a little bit more detail, and that's why the price is a little higher. It's not just milling and right next to the hospital. We're actually expanded the area so that we can see where the water is, to bring some more water in, drainage into this area, and expand it and get it going through this particular drainage avenue.
Would it compare, say, to the Ormond Oaks ditch and the length of that ditch?
I'd say it's a little bigger because of the contributory of it.
So that was more like half the price of this. That's where my mind goes.
That was just one. That was just that one ditch, whereas this is it is much bigger area.
Okay, thank you very much. So have we opened this up? Starting to lose track here. Yep. Any other council discussions? If not, please cast your vote for 2026-0172. And that passes unanimously. Resolutions. 2026-0182, a resolution endorsing a waiver from Appendix C subdivision regulations of 1981, Section 3, Geometric Standards B, Blocks, Item 3, Arrangement as requested by Glendon Nelson, Jr. File number 2026-0182 is now open for public comment. Is there anyone? Hold on a second. Mr. Albert, do you have any explanation of this one?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
This is a minor subdivision, one lot into 4. 3 of those lots are served by an access easement that currently exists. The applicant's requesting a waiver to allow those back 3 lots to exist without road frontage. Department recommended approval. The Planning Commission approved the subdivision contingent upon the waiver being approved by resolution here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. File number 2026-0182 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You got 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, cast your votes for file number 2026-0182. Passes unanimously. Item 2026-0183, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the state of Louisiana through the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority and the St. Charles Parish government regarding the engineering and design of Lake Salvador Shoreline Protection Project BA-0292. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. This resolution approves an intergovernmental agreement between St. Charles Parish and the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority for the engineering and design phase of the Lake Salvador Shoreline Protection Project. This project came directly out of the work we did through our Parish Coastal Plan, also known as the SHIELD Plan, where the Lake Salvador Shoreline Project was identified as a priority area for restoration and protection. This shoreline has continued to degrade from daily vessel traffic, strong south winds, and of course, storm events. Throughout the planning process, we were able to secure a $3 million appropriation from CPRA, along with additional $377,781.75 in additional GOMESA funding from CPRA, not our GOMESA funding. The goal is to deliver a shovel-ready 15-mile shoreline protection project along 3 reaches of the Lake Salvador shoreline bordering the WMA Timken Wildlife Management Area. Approval of this IGA is a necessary administrative step to formally secure those funds and allow the parish to proceed. The next phase, which will be up for council consideration of the engineering contract, which was reviewed, and we appreciate that it was introduced tonight. It has been approved by CPRA. This is an important step forward again into converting a priority project from the SHIELD Plan into a design, and then hopefully eventually a constructed shoreline protection project for Lake Salvador.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. File number 2026-0183 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Milton Alamo Hornville. And my president, Donald Trump, sure made the name hard to say when he changed it to Gulf of America. GOMESA was pretty cool. But the funding is coming from CPRA, but they're giving it to us to spend. And I'm not sure what contract Mr. President was talking about, because obviously I don't have privy to that, but is that going to be another one of those professional service agreements? And the interesting thing about it is we're spending a whole pile of money, and we're going to do a study to tell us what needs to be done. But some of this stuff is already spelled out in the SHIELD Plan, if I remember correctly. The most interesting part about all this, and I'm sure y'all all read this, and I'm sure y'all highlighted it too, when you get to the end of this, and it talks about, I lost my section all of a sudden. When it talks about Section C, it talks about who's going to be responsible for what, and who's going to be held responsible if it doesn't work, if it goes wrong. This is a Class A example of CYA. Go and read that section. No matter what you build out there, some people will never be responsible if it works or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alamo. Public hearing is still open. If someone would like to come up and speak on this item, please come forward, give your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Mr. Carmadell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to see this up here. You know, this is a project that I brought to Morney and discussed. This is something that dates back all the way to Mr. Paul Hogan. He has several pictures over his time here with the erosion we were dealing with. So, Mr. Alamo, this is a project that was started 20 plus years ago. Everything west of the red line in that sheet is already done, all the way to the mouth of Bayou des Allemands. Funds ran out, the project stopped. We've seen massive improvement of land growth and vegetation where they had rocks, and we saw massive erosion where we don't have rocks. This is just a continuation of what was already done, not finished, to come back and stop. Where you see Cuba Island, that island's about 1,800 acres. 20 years ago was over 4,000 acres. That's the last line of defense for the eastern side of St. Charles Parish, Willowdale, Luling. So this is something that's been on the radar. When it is CPRA funds, it is kind of already pre-directed on what it can be used for, so we can't use those funds anywhere else in the parish. And this is, I'm very happy to see this on here. This is very important on slowing down those tidal surges that are coming into St. Charles Parish. I don't know if residents do realize, but we are now considered a coastal parish. There's about 57,000 acres of marshland south of Lake Salvador that was taken away by Hurricane Ida. We do now see tidal surges in Bayou des Allemands we've never seen in history. We have shrimp and redfish in Lake des Allemands we've never seen in history. So we have a massive influx of Gulf waters coming in, and this is just one more step to try to prevent that. So I'm very happy to see it there.
Thank you, Mr. Carmodell. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Carmodell. I just want to clarify, this is not a study. The study was the SHIELD plan. We made an investment in that because we weren't seeing the kind of acute projects in St. Charles Parish, which we are a coastal parish, that we were seeing in some of the other parishes. Now, I know the first line of defense is, the coast, the Grand Isles, the St. Bernards, the Plaquemines parishes. And we have some projects now, as a CPRA member, we have some projects now to build some land down there as really a first line defense. And we want those projects to come quickly. But we also know some projects aren't happening. And when we looked at some of the changes that were made, it kind of became apparent to me that we've got to do what we can to make sure that our voices are being heard in St. Charles Parish, both on the East Bank and the West Bank. We're split between two basins, the Pontchartrain on the East Bank and the Barataria on the West Bank, that our projects get in to make sure we are protecting. There's a lot of good projects in there. One of the easiest projects to be able to go and already show the dividends and the benefit for is this project, because as Councilman Commodore said, a section of this has already been built. They actually weren't able to get as close as they wanted to when they built that to the shoreline, so they dumped the rocks further out. The shoreline came out and met those rocks. The land actually came out and met those rocks. We want to continue that. And with the benefits that we get from the Davis diversion right there, we think that this is all complementary. And I think this is just the start. After we get this project underway, it's time to go after the next one and try to start getting the engineering and design funds for each of these projects. And then while these projects are being designed, working with CPRA to get the construction money put in there. Chairman, we looked at the costs of some of these coastal projects are astronomical. And I know that one of the concerns was that we didn't have the funds, and we don't, to be able to go design all these large coastal projects. And we are doing exactly what we said we would when we initiated the SHIELD plan and going out and finding the money for each portion of these projects. And I appreciate your support so that we can get this project underway.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We talk about these projects are sitting around here. We've got an example on the East Bank, the LaBranch Wetland project. 25 years in the making. Finally, when we get SHIELD plans and we get representation in Congress and we get the federal money and we get Mr. Parish President Jewell on CPRA, we see that stuff. We see the benefits that's coming to us. That is protecting the East Bank levee protection, having that LaBranch wetland. The Lake Salvador is going to only protect the West Bank of St. Charles Parish. So these are great things, especially when we can go find and do with somebody else's money, right? So yeah, look, we're all about help. We have a great grants department. We have administration. We have council people that kind of understand this stuff and go out. We've all met in meetings and when we see people. So this is a great thing. St. Charles Parish, we all support it. The East Bank is doing a lot of benefits. We'll see that shoreline protection. We'll see the tree plantings, the things that we can do. So, I support it. I can't not.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank the work that our grants office, thank them for the work that they did on this. We used to have the federal CAP program that funded the La Branch shoreline protection projects and the existing Lake Salvador shoreline protection projects, but that program actually was done away with. So for many, many years, as you've heard the others say, we haven't been able to make progress on these shoreline protection projects that are extremely important, just like our levees are. They work in tangent with one another. So I'm really excited that President Jewell, we did the shores plan to actually shores. I'm thinking of the Shores Coalition, but we did the SHIELD plan that actually spells out the shoreline protection that we still need in the other projects. And true to his word, he's gone out and they've gotten funding for us to be able to initiate some of the work on some of these projects. So I fully support the continued efforts on this and can't wait to see the project get constructed.
Thank you, Ms. Fonseca. I can absolutely say that any and all of these monies that get pulled into our parish from federal sources, it's a good thing. As a young man, I spent a lot of time tromping around the swamps, sinking up to my chest with a shotgun being the only thing that holds me up. And it's gotten worse. It's gotten far worse. We've lost so much land. That's why I enjoy, at least feel like I want to go to these coastal zone meetings, learn more, be involved, promote things that we could possibly do things about. But for Mr. Alamo, what we introduced tonight, won't hear until next week, is 2026-0184, and that's the actual funding of the design for this. So this is step one. Accept the money. Step two is to go ahead and approve the professional services to do the work. And then step three, obviously, will be once you get the design done, find out how much it costs and probably throw up because it's so expensive, then... Hey, well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. There's things that are moving that had not moved before, so I really think this is not. It's more than encouraging, and I think it's a great thing, and I'm certainly in support of it. Okay. No other council discussions. Please cast your vote. 2026-0183, and that passes unanimously. All right, 2026-0185, a resolution waiving the 500-foot distance requirement for a protected organization and allowing issuance of a Class B retailer alcohol license for Birdie's Dust Bowl Store. That is at 12590 River Road in Destrehan, as requested by Nabut Brothers Real Estate, LLC. Mr. Albert, could you please explain?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant has submitted all the required documentations to qualify for this request. I will turn it over to the applicant to actually explain what they're looking to do on their site. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. Okay, the item number 2026-0185 is open to public comment. If there's anybody who'd like to come up and speak regarding the item, please do so now. State your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all allowing me to speak. My name is Claude Adams. I live at 100 Gardenia Court in Luling. I worked with Mr. DeButt on this project. And we understand the reason that the businesses are protected, or certain organizations are protected from businesses within 500 feet. And I met with Pastor Thomas Hines of the Hope Church and discussed it with him. And he offered no opposition. He said he's excited to have it in the parish. It's going to bring lights. It's going to bring awareness, people visiting. It's going to help out his church. And as we know, the Nabut brothers and the whole family has been one of the first on the ground after storms we've had to get gas stations open and to get services to people. So I just wanted to offer my support to him in this endeavor. And that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Public comment still open. If there's anyone that'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please provide your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Mike
it's
Naboo.
Mr. Nabut.
Yes, sir. Mike Naboo, 1104 Primrose, Boutte, Louisiana. This is a forgotten part of the parish. I just want to point that out. I've owned this building for the past 6 years, and rarely did I travel coming off the exit to take a left. Everything I do is mainly to the right towards Destrehan. It is a Destrehan address, but I feel like it's in St. Rose. So I think by us coming in there, cleaning it up, we've already put the exterior lights. The church loves it. The neighbors, the plant, all the plant employees gotten us compliments. We've got a nice layout as far as it's going to be a great looking store. We're hoping for your support because without the beer, it is kind of hard to operate a convenience store. So we would appreciate your support in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nabut.
Any questions?
Public comment is still open. If there's anyone that'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussions? We have Mr. Carmadell first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm happy to see this here, and I'm gonna ask you guys to give it your full support. I worked over at Bungie for about 6 months, about 2 years ago, and this parking lot not being in use had a lot of strange traffic hanging out in it. It looked like it was a meeting space between St. Rose and Destrehan for some possible illegal activity. It's a real dark area early in the morning, late in the afternoon, and there was always cars there. There was also some random trucks that would park in the driveway and get neighborhood complaints from it because it was 18-wheelers and things like that sitting there. So I'm happy to see, once again, Mr. Naboo repurposing some blighted properties and putting them into commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Carmadell. Mr. Jewell.
Yeah, just wanted to echo that. The building was a really bad eyesore, and so I just ask that you do whatever you can to renovate it, make it look good, and make it look like it should be in that community, and serve the people there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My God, look, it's fantastic. I used to serve that store before Katrina when I was with Anheuser-Busch, and it's been closed. It's been tried to be open. When somebody takes the initiative to open up something that's been closed like that, it just improves the whole quality of life. Like Ms. Carmadell said, it was a meeting place. It's been a lot of things, but just the effort you're going to do going through that to get it back up and running, I mean, it's just plus to the parish.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Nabut, anytime you can turn an eyesore into something good, I'm all for it. So thank you for doing that. No other council discussion? Please cast your vote. 2026-0185. And that passes unanimously. Appointments. 2026-0156, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Communications District representing the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office. Council will confirm the nomination from the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Lieutenant Mikkel Melton, unexpired term to begin immediately and expire August 19th, 2027. The nominee we have is Lieutenant Devin Laverne. Please cast your vote to confirm the appointment of Lieutenant Devin Laverge, the St. Charles Parish Communication District, representing the St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office. And that passes unanimously. 2026-0181, a resolution appointing an ad hoc member with a health professional background to the Board of Directors for the Arc of St. Charles. On Monday, June 15th, 2026, Council Chairman will accept nominations to the Board of Directors of the Arc of St. Charles, ad hoc member with a health professional background to fill the vacancy caused by the expiration of the term of Dr. Jeffrey S. Kuo, MD. The two-year term to begin immediately and expire June 30th, 2028. Dr. Kuo has served 2 consecutive terms and cannot be reappointed according to the Arc of St. Charles bylaws. However, on May 19th, 2026, the Arc Board members approved for any 2025 to 2026 board members whose term of office is due to expire June 30th, 2026, to be extended for up to 1 additional 2-year term. This is just an announcement, no action to be taken. Meetings, announcement, notices, etc. Meetings. Lafourche Basin Levee District, Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026, 6 p.m., Lafourche Basin Levee District Office, 21380 Highway 20 in Vacherie. Planning and Zoning Commission, Thursday, June 4th, 2026, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Communications District 911, Monday, June 8th, 2026, 5 p.m., Council Chambers. Coastal Zone Advisory Committee, Tuesday, June 9th, 2026, 12 p.m., Council Chambers. Civil Service Board, Tuesday, June 9th of 2026, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Community Action Advisory Committee, Advisory Board, Wednesday, June 10th, 2026, 5 p.m., Council Chambers. Floodplain Management Steering Committee, Thursday, June 11th, 2026, 12 p.m., Council Chambers. Pontchartrain Levee District, Monday, June 15th, 2026, 6 p.m., Pontchartrain Levee District, Headquarters Complex, 2069 Railroad Avenue in Lutcher. St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, June 15th, 2026, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Announcements. Important dates for the second party primary municipal general, June 27th, 2026 election. Saturday, June 6th, 2026, last day to register to vote online at govote.com. Early voting. Please note that there were revisions made to early voting dates due to state holiday. Friday, June 12th, 2026 through Saturday, June 13th, 2026. It's obviously closed on Sunday, June 14th, 2026. Monday, June 15th, 2026 through Thursday, June 18th, 2026. Closed Friday, June 19th, 2026. Saturday, June 20th, 2026. 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. West Bank Courthouse, 15045 River Road, Hanville. On the East Bank, Arterbury Building, 14564 River Road, New Sarpy. Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026, last day to request absentee by mail ballots. Friday, June 26, 2026, last day for register to receive voted absentee ballot. Saturday, June 27th, 2026, that's election day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. St. Charles Parish has the following permanent polling location change for the June 27, 2026 election. Precinct 2-3 from Mimosa Park Elementary School, 222 Birch Street, Luling, Louisiana, going to the Bible Center Church, 422 Barton Avenue, Luling, Louisiana. Special matters to be considered by the council. St. Charles Parish Council is now sitting as the governing authority of the Sewage District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Charles. 2026-0163, an ordinance of the St. Charles Parish Council as the governing authority of the Sewage District Number 1 of the Parish of St. Charles to approve and authorize the parish president to execute an act of sale for property known as Eastern Greenbelt Park, described as lots 31, 32, and 33 in Good Hope Subdivision, Block E, Norco, Louisiana 70079, in the amount of $80,000. Mr. Raymond, could you please illuminate us?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, as you pointed out, the council is now sitting as the governing authority of Sewers District Number 1 of St. Charles Parish. Back in the early 70s, the Sewers District acquired these three particular lots of ground, and over the time they have been used as a recreation site. This is the complementary ordinance to the one that you enacted or passed earlier. These three lots form another part of that same park that is being sold to Shell. These three lots are non-conforming, and in order to appraise it, the appraiser made the assumption that the three lots, 30 feet wide by 107 feet deep each, would be subdivided into one lot measuring 91 feet by 107 feet. That property appraised for $54,000, and Shell is willing to pay St. Charles Parish the sum of $80,000 for it. They'll pay the governing authority of the Sewers District $80,000 for that property. But also, you will have to declare that it is no longer needed for a public purpose, just as you did earlier.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. (2026-0163) is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? I see Mr. Jewell has something.
Thank you, Chairman. Now that we're sitting, or the council is sitting as the Sewer District Number 1 board, you see the full picture. The $1,000 appraisal lot that was sold earlier in the meeting, and now the $54,000 appraised lot or lots appraised here. Total appraised value for all lots $55,000. Total purchase price $100,000. Wanted to mention that $100,000 is going to go back into recreation to be used for improvements within Norco. So we are keeping the sale of this property and the money to be invested back into recreation in Norco, and we appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Is there any other council discussions? Seeing none, please cast your vote for 2026-0163. And that passes unanimously. All right, 2026-0169. A resolution appointing an official journal to serve the Parish Council of St. Charles Parish for a period of June 2026 through June 2027, 1 year. So we have to open this bid and read it to the public. I have the envelope.
That's the New York Times.
All right. Here we go. June 1st, 2026, to the St. Charles Parish Council. The St. Charles Herald Guide hereby offers a firm rate for providing the advertising service as your official journal for 12 months beginning July 1st, 2026. As follows, the rates are as follows: $2.96 per column inch for advertising the newspaper must set into type. $2.46 per column inch for advertising the newspaper can scan. These rates comply with the maximum $6 per 100-word rate set forth by the law of the state of Louisiana for official journals. It has been a pleasure to serve as your official journal, and we look forward to the opportunity to continue our relationship. Sincerely, Jonathan Menard, publisher, St. Charles Herald Guide. Okay. That said, file number 2026-016 now is open to public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. State your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, Please cast your vote for 2026-0169. And that passes unanimously. Okay. 2026-0173, calendar of official action for the 2027 budget. Set public hearing dates. And Mr. Grant Newsom has been so patient, so it's your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know this is the moment everybody's been waiting for. This is to set the calendar of official action. This is the budget hearing dates, and they are set for tentatively October 20th at 9 a.m., October 22nd at 1 p.m., and Monday, October 26th at 6 p.m.
Very good. File number 2026-0173 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address, and for the record, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing no public comment is closed. Any council discussion? None there either. So please cast your vote for 2026-0173. And that passes unanimously. Thanks for waiting, Grant. Okay. Adjournment. A motion and a second is needed to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Fisher and seconded by Ms. Skiba. Please cast your vote to adjourn. What's that? It gets crazy. And that passes unanimously, like anybody's surprised. Huh? Have a great evening. We're officially adjourned. I got it.
I can't believe you showed that on my birthday of all